Hi, this is Bonnie from Fairy Stamper, and this is the second Christmas card that I'm going to be working on. That if you watched two videos before that I did, I made 4 different gel prints that I'm just going to turn into Christmas cards. This is the second of the 4 that I created. And for this one, I'm really kind of excited. I actually am going to be using, I'm going to be putting a moon on this one. I did on the other one as well. But this one, I wanted to tell you, this is the circle, and it measured the gel print, or press, measured about 6 inches. This is just a little bit shy of that because this is the size that I had for a die. It probably is roughly about 5 3/4. So the moon that I'm going to be using is about 3 3/4, not quite, more closer to 3.5. It's about 3.5. You can see it's kind of hard for me to read the measurements. They're kind of worn off. So I'm going to go ahead and put that about right here. And I am going to be using chipped sapphire. You recall the different colors that I used to make this background. I want it to stand out a little bit with the shadow. And honestly, chipped sapphire is one of my favorites because I love how it has kind of like a different color to it. I don't know how to explain it. It almost has like a navy purple to it, so I really like it. It's really pretty. Now it's darker of the two. The other one I like is Faded Jeans, and but I really like this one. So I'm just going to go ahead and give this a little bit of a shadow like I did before when I did the last video. Rotate that, and I do start, as you can tell, I do start on the paper. This is just a cardstock that I use, and there's times when, if my brush is wet and I purposely do that, it will pick up the color off of this and transport it to the background. And I actually like that sometimes because it's a color that I can't actually make on its own. It's really hard to do. Today I'm going to be using the Fairy Hug stamp. I'm going to show you that in just a second. From, there you go. I'm going to be using the Fairy Hug stamp called Fawn and Doe. It's really a pretty set. And I'm going to be using the Wreath Builder as well. So those are the 2 I'm planning to use. And I'm going to go ahead and go around the outside of this a little bit too, because I know that I'm going to want that done. But you know what? I'm going to wait. I'm going to do the outside later. But what I am going to do is figure out where this deer is going to be standing, because I want to go ahead. They're going to be standing pretty close to like what you're picturing actually in the design on the acetate. And I've got my cutout that I usually use, and I'm going to line them up so that when I go to stamp them, they'll pretty much be in the same place. I think that's the way I want to. Yep. I'm trying to line up their feet so that it will be pretty much, they'll be standing there. Okay. So I'm using the same ink, which is chipped sapphire. And I'm going down instead of up with this. And then I want to give that a little bit more over here, so I'm going to go this way with that. So it goes all the way to the edge. See if I match that up a little bit. Need to go back up there. And you can line that up and then bring that down. There we go. So that's going to be what they're going to be standing on. So I think I pretty much have that all set up. And then I'm going to go ahead and set up my stamp platform. We're going to start stamping. Okay, so I've got the dough all set up to go ahead and stamp. I'm going to be using VersaFine Clear Pine Cone for this one. And I've also noticed that this particular stamp, because it has some smaller details, it's always the case with any silhouette stamp, that if it has a lot of details, if you can do the stamping in one pass, you're going to keep your details much better. So my pine cone one is inked up really good. And the other thing is always what you're stamping on and how well it'll take the ink. All right. Yes, that turned out perfectly. Here, I'm going to get that a little bit closer so you can see how pretty she is. Yep. So the next one I'm going to figure out is where to put the fawn. So let's get that set up. I think our fawn is going to be down just a little bit further, just like that. I want her to stand on the, unless I have her standing up higher, let's see. Yeah, we're going to put, I want to put that one over there. It's always hard to see when you have the two and to try to see, so I think I'm just going to try and see what that looks like. Yeah, it needs to come down. Yep. So that little fawn needs to come down a little bit further. Not up too high. Again, I'm using the same ink. Inking that up really well. Okay. And obviously the fawn is smaller, so the details are even smaller. So again, it's really good if you can do this in one stamp. Okay. Yep, that worked out great. All right, so we have the two main characters on the front of our card so far, and that looks really pretty good. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I am going to be using the Wreath Builder, and I'm going to go ahead and start setting those up. Now this is really hard to actually use the paper that it comes with to like line this up. You can do it. Ouch. But my magnet just snapped on me. You can set this up. I'm also going to need to have a back. Something to back that up. Okay, so it's harder to set it up, but you can do it. What I did first was I just laid them on and it was easier for me to see it. But I'm going to try to put some of this, the Wreath Builder around the outside, and I don't care that it goes over. It's not going to be a problem, because I'm going to be putting this on top of another piece of paper, layering it. This is just going to be the top layer. So I decided I'm going to go ahead and give it a try. I'm going to try Rainforest. I have not used this color yet, and I'm hoping that it will go okay with the background, because the background colors I used were Distress Oxide. And so I had to try to find something that I thought would match, or I don't know if I want to say match, but at least would be like the same color hue. So that's what I'm doing here. Okay, yeah, I think that's going to work out really well. So I'm going to go ahead and keep positioning these. The other thing is I've pulled out the berries, and I really do want to use those, and I wasn't 100% sure of the color, but I don't think that I want it to be red. I think the red will pop too much, So I think what I'm going to do is, actually I'm going to try, I think I'm going to try the, I would love to do white, but I think the yellow kind of like looks good, but I think it's going to be too light. So what I am going to do is I am going to use, you can hear my thought process, I am going to use the Morning Mist because it's going to be light, so I can come back in and color it with a color pencil. That way I know I can match the color to what I want it to be. So I'm going to use Morning Mist, so it's just more of a shadow, so I can come back and color on that. That's what I'm going to do. And you see it's light enough, and I'm just going to come back in there. That'll be perfect. So I'm going to continue to go up and around. And I'm going to stay with the same color, but I'm using two different branches. And when I do this, I kind of think of it in terms of flower arranging, if that makes sense. So I have to kind of like see that, how it works. Got a little bit on my, there we go. Okay, and that works well. To make sure I grab the right color. I'll move my gray to the other side. Okay. I think I'm going to come back in with a larger. I am really liking this color from the rainforest. It has a little bit of a blue cast, not really strong, but it has a little bit of a blue cast to it, so it's really pretty. I really like that. I think I'm doing another one of these, and then I'm going to add some more berries. I think I'm going to do my berries last. Not a lot of talking when I'm trying to think about how I want that placement to go. I'm really trying to take advantage of the fact that it is a circle. You could do second generation if you want a little bit more of the shadow in the background too. It would look really nice. think I'm going to do one more, and I might leave the rest over here because I want it just to look like it's just really hanging. Okay, I think I like that. I'm going to add the berries and see what else I need to do. It's a very strong magnet. Okay, now this is going to be the gray, morning mist, light gray. Okay. Now you could also, leave room right here to add a sentiment. I didn't have one that I really wanted to add to this one. I thought it was just kind of pretty the way it was, but Merry Christmas would be great, but it's really, I don't think, necessary to have a sentiment on the front of this. But Merry Christmas across would be great. All right, that's 4. I really want to get an odd number there, so I'm going to add 1 down here. I think that'll work. And I think, thinking about it, I think I'm going to do a gold, adding a gold to the berries. I don't think I'm going to add the red, but we'll see. All right, so we have our stamping done there. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at that and see if I want to add anything over here, but as of right now, this is the way I'm going to have it set up. So that was really relatively easy. Takes a little bit of time, but it's pretty much easy to add that to and make that look. I think it makes a really pretty card. So I'm going to go ahead and get set up to see what we can do with the berries in a minute. Okay, so I decided I wanted to offset that top to make it more balanced. So I'm going to go ahead and put this branch at the bottom. And again, I'm still using the same Rain Forest ink. I think it just needed to have something to offset that top. And then I'm going to add again a set of berries. Go up just a little bit higher. Okay. All right. That looks much better. I wanted it to be a little bit more balanced. Okay, so I decided to go with, it's called Crimson Lake, so it's not really a burgundy, but kind of like a burgundy. So it doesn't really pop like a real bright red. This is 925. And all I'm doing is I'm coming in, there's like a highlight on the berries, and I'm not coloring the highlight. Excuse me. I am just coloring the backside behind that highlight. You can probably see it up here a little bit better. Let's see if I can get that closer. Okay, so I'm just coloring behind that highlight on all of the berries. And what I will do is I'll come back in with the white gel pen and I will highlight all those areas with a white gel pen so that it'll pop a little bit more. But this is relatively an easy card. It's just arranging your leaves and how you want them to be on there. You can see how that goes. This one's kind of hidden, looks like it's hidden behind the branches, but you can still see the color. I'm debating whether or not I want to use the yellow over the white highlight because I don't have very much white on here, and I want it to pop, but I don't know that I want it to pop as much as what the white would make it pop. So I'm still thinking about that. And I have a little bit down here. Okay, so we've got all the berries colored in, and I'm going to go ahead and make a decision. Oops, I missed a couple. As to whether or not I want to use the white or the yellow. And I'll probably test one little berry and see which one I like best. I'll be right back. Okay, so I did try the yellow and it blended in too much so you couldn't really see it. So I'm going with the white gel pen instead, and I've already done these 3 clusters right here. And I'll go ahead and show you the rest. All I do is I basically go right over the line that has already been put. I think I need to color that one in. The line that's already there that was shown when you stamp. I need to color this one in. There we go. And this is another good thing when you go back over and you find things to color in, you realize some of the spots you might have missed. So it's kind of like a good way to check anyway. So I'm just, like I said, I'm just hitting the bottoms or wherever that highlight was when you stamped. So that's the ones at the top. I'm going to go ahead and get the ones at the bottom. Okay. So we pretty much have that all set up. I think what I'm going to do is give a little bit of a glow to the deer by putting this white pin on his back. Where this light would probably really, I don't know if you can see that, I think you can. For the most part, he's standing away from the light, so it wouldn't be getting very much light. I think the fawn would be getting more of the light. So there's a little bit of a highlight you can give them if you want to. It is kind of a tiny space, but I think it works. So there you go. I think that's pretty much what we're going to do to the card, except I'm going to go ahead, like I told you, and put some ink on the outside to anchor. Let's do that really quickly if you want to see. I think you guys know how to do this part. Just take some of the chipped sapphire and we're going to go around the outside. I do think this needs some sort of glitter somewhere. As I'm putting this on, I'm thinking about where I can add a little bit of glitter to this card. I think what I'm going to do is put a little dot of the of the glue, and add a little bit of, it's called Fairy Hugs has glitter, and my favorite one is called Pixie Dust. And I'm going to go ahead and put some glue dots, and I'll show you that in just a second, and then add some of the pixie powder. Okay, so now that's all got the edging to it. I think that looks really good. Whoops, sorry. I think that looks really good with that. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab my glue pen. I've been using this Quickie glue pen. It works really, really well. And all I'm going to do is, where I did a little bit of that highlighting, I'm going to also add a little bit of this glue, I think. I'm trying to see if it's actually going on top of that. I'm not going to do it on all of them. And like I said, I'm not really seeing it because it's going on top of the pencil, and the pencils are wax. It has wax in them. See how this works. Or I might have to add some of my glitter someplace else. Yeah, I see it now. All right. So this is the Fairy Hugs Pixie Dust. It's super pretty. I'm going to go ahead and put some of that all over. You can see, I don't know, you can see how pretty that is. It's really, really pretty sparkly. I just needed a little bit of sparkle. Okay. Yeah, you can see that. See how pretty? Some of that stuck where I didn't, but you can see where I did put it on the berries. It's pretty. All right then, that is going to be the card. I'm going to be putting it on a card base, and I am going to put it on a square card. So all I'm going to do is ink up the edges, or ink up the card, so that it goes with the chipped sapphire. And I'm also going to be using a little bit of, I think it's Mermaid Lagoon. So, no, I'm wrong. It is, I'm going to be using, hold on. Well, because I used Selvage Patina when I made that, I'm going to be using Selvage Patina, and I'm going to be using chipped sapphire. And all I'm going to do is on a plain card, I'm going to go ahead and put some of this on, and then I'm going to spray it with waters to have a little bit of water spots, and it'll look really good together. So it's a basic putting ink on a card and adding water. So that's all I'm going to do, and you'll see the finished card on a card at the beginning. So thanks so much for stopping by, and I hope that you will come back to see. I'm going to be making probably 2 more Christmas cards for you in the next couple of weeks, and I'm going to have the products that I used in the description below. And again, just a reminder for you to stop by Fairy Stamper Hugs on Facebook group. We'd love to see what you're making. Thanks so much.